Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar. My name is Marieke Smit and I'm the Chief Education Specialist for Hospitality Studies at IMPAC. And today we will look at the PAT chef task and discuss that in detail. We just want to give a few seconds for everybody to join this webinar. Good afternoon and welcome once again to this webinar. My name is Marieke Smit and I'm the Chief Education Specialist at IMPAC for Hospitality Studies. We are going to look at the chef task today and discuss that in detail. Before we start, I just want to introduce Surina Jordan also. She's the Education Specialist at IMPAC for Hospitality Studies too, and she will be assisting with the questions during this webinar. Thank you, Surina. Before we start this webinar, please look with me to some of the basic things for you to know to make use of this webinar. First of all, if you can't hear me, please turn up your speaker volume so that you can hear. You will be automatically muted when joining the session. Should you have any questions, you can raise your hand in your icon box, or you've got icon, then you can raise your hand and ask a question. You can also download the presentation and additional resources in the handout box. Make sure there that we did attach an example of both tasks for you, which was completed by one of the students. You will also find all this information in the question box below on your right. And remember to send us all your questions. Attendees are encouraged to ask questions and leave comments. However, if irrelevant or inappropriate comments will result in attendee to being dismissed from the session. If we did not get to your questions, please send an email to academics@impact.co.za so that we can assist. And any other questions will be answered and sent to you. And if you don't receive it, please send the email to info@impact.co.za to receive it. And then last, visit the IMPAC YouTube channel for recordings of this session. Okay, let's get started. Today, we are only going to look at the PAT chef. There's a PAT waiter and a PAT chef task. So, but today we're going to discuss the PAT chef task. Now, the PAT consists of two tasks. First of all, task 9.1, which is the written preparation, and task 9.2, which is the practical. Both of them count 75%, and this one counts 25% of the 100 marks for the chef PAT. Please take note that both PATs can be done on one day, and that's the way that IMPAC use for the IMPAC assessments, or if arranged with your assessor, one can be done on one day and another one on another day. So that's also a possibility for you. There are two ways of assessment for this PAT. First of all, the IMPAC assessments, we will do all the arrangements, and we will send out an email with all the information and the venues and the dates and all the information about that. Then we will also provide an email address in that email so that you can send your proof of payment to book your space. This payment is for the parents and the guidance accounts, and the payment is made to IMPAC. The assessors at the venue, normally myself and Surina, we will write our assessors' numbers on the barcoded page for IMPAC to accept the marks. And just take note that there's always limited space available. So please make your bookings as soon as possible when you receive the email. At the moment, I just want to mention here, we did not send out the emails because of the lockdown, but we are discussing this issue and we will get back to you. So just look out for this email and more information. Then the second method of assessment is the private assessment. In this case, the learners will make their own arrangements with an assessor. Now, you can find an assessor or approve an assessor at this following email address at IMPAC. So we do have a list of already approved assessors, which you can use in your area. Or if there's no assessors in your area and you have a new assessor that you want to approve, you can send an email to assessors@impact.co.za. This payment is for the parents and the guardian's account and a private arrangement between the two parties. Please take note that this is a private arrangement and has nothing to do with impact. So it's between the assessor and yourself. Then the assessor will use the assessor number on the barcoded page and take note that all the assessments is marked by impact. So the practical mark sheet will be completed by the assessor on the practical day, and the written task will be marked by impact. So no one is allowed to mark the written task except impact. So all the grade 12 written tasks will be marked by impact. Then for this year, we already planned these dates for the PAT assessments. We will send this information as soon as we know what's going on with the lockdown. So at the moment, this is the planned dates for the PAT and the provinces for the PAT venues. So please take note of that. And then for the private assessment, there is certain requirements for the assessor. Please take note that this is for grade 10 to 12, not only grade 12, but this is for grade 10 to 12. And this assessor needs to have an appropriate qualification. I just want to explain this a little bit. If you have a home economics degree or a consumer studies degree, and you did teach hospitality studies for 3 years on the grade 12 level, we will approve you. If you have a consumer studies degree or a home economics degree, and you didn't teach this subject on a grade 12 level for 3 years, this will also mean in a school where there is moderation, such as a IEB school or a GDE school, then you will not be allowed to assess this if you didn't teach this subject, because there's a huge difference between home economics, consumer studies, and hospitality studies. And also, you need a SACE number. This means that we do not allow chefs to do assessments. We only use teachers. So please take note of that requirements. And if you use an assessor, which will not apply to this requirements, we will not accept your marks. And that means you will not be able to get your results at the end of the year. So please make sure of this very important requirements for the assessors. Okay, let's look at task 9.1, the written preparation. I will allow questions after this task before we discuss task 9.2. Okay, in the first place, it's very important for the kids to complete this form very fully, complete this form and don't leave out information. So in the first place, your name is important there. Your student number must be written there. And then you've got 2 forms that you need to complete for your 2 dishes that you are going to make. So name of the dish 1, most of the time the kids leave out that, and name of dish 2. So this is the same forms and the same columns that needs to be complete for both your recipes that you are going to prepare. So if I look at the first 3 columns, that will be about your ingredients. So I did the red typed information there is just to explain to you what needs to be written in this different columns. But we will send out notes about this with more explanation on this form and how to fill it in. Just also take note that this will help you a lot with your practical lessons, task 3 and task 6, because the information is more or less the same. Okay, let's start with ingredients. So in the first column, you will write, for example, cheese, and this will not be correct. So let's say in your recipe, you will use cheddar cheese. Then you need to write cheddar cheese, not just cheese. So make sure the type is indicated very clearly. And then in the second column, you will use, let's say, for example, 20 grams of cheddar cheese. Then you will write there 20 grams, not only 20, but 20 grams. And then in the third column, you will say what needs to be done. For example, the mise en place that needs to be done for the cheese. So in this case, you will write grate. Let's take another example. Let's say tuna. And we will use a tin of tuna. So you will write the tuna there, and you will write there 1 tin or you can write the grams of the tin. And then in the third column, you'll write there, open the tin, because that's part of your mise en place. Another example is eggs. Let's say 1 egg. So you will say egg 1, and then here you will say take it out of the shell. So that is part of your mise en place, because we can't use it if it's not prepared. Okay, and then in the next column, this is your equipment for, just read there very properly, equipment for preparation and cooking. So normally I give advice to the kids, sorry, to say that you need to use your recipe. And as you go through your recipe, take each ingredient and then write your apparatus there. So for example, I will always write there measuring apparatus and mixing bowls, because you will always use bowls and measuring apparatus. But say, for example, you use a kitchen scale, then you can write it out there. So let's take an example. Most of the kids, they just write there a knife. For example, we are going to chop an onion. So for chopping an onion, we need a chopping board. So that needs to be filled in there. A chef knife, and not just a knife, but a chef knife. And then also your mixing bowl, or your bowl where you are going to put the chopped onion in. So just make sure that you don't miss some of the ingredients, some of the equipment there. So take each ingredient and see what apparatus is necessary to prepare that or to cook this, this dish at the end. The next column is mise en place of equipment, and just make sure this is of equipment. You can't say here sift the cake flour, because this is for the equipment, okay? And most of the kids, or the common mistakes here, is that they only say, let's say, cake pan or baking tray. They don't say what you need to do with it, or oven. That doesn't mean anything. So you must say, set the oven on 180 degrees, or spray and cook the baking tray, or whatever. So it must be specific. You must say what you are going to do with your apparatus. Then this one is for apparatus for serving or portioning. So it means, what apparatus do we need for serving this dish? For example, if we do the deconstructive beef Wellington for grade 12 this year, and we are going to plate the sauce, we will have a spoon, and we will have a plate, and we will have a futon, and a lot of other apparatus that we are going to use to serve or to portion this dish. So make sure that you write it there, and please indicate what spoon, what knife, what sauce plate it is. You can't just say plate, spoon, or whatever, you will lose marks there. So make sure that you indicate very clearly what you are going to use. Then the garnishing or the decoration. That means, what do you use to make this, the appearance better of this dish? Let's say, for example, you use your a chocolate mousse, and we are going to use strawberries and whipped cream to decorate it. Then we will write that there. So that is the things that you use, or the items that you use to decorate or to garnish your dish. The oven temperature or temperatures of the stove plate and time setting, time needed. There you will write, let's say, for example, we use the oven. We will say 200 degrees Celsius. The temperature, we can say for the oven. But if we use a stove, we can say, let's say, stove plate on number 2 or number 4 or whatever. If it's a gas stove, you can also indicate that. And then if we don't use a stove or an oven during the preparation, we can just draw a line. Or if you put something like a gelatin dessert in a fridge, you can just write there, so that we know, you know, that we're not going to use the oven, or we're going to use the fridge or whatever. Then the one that the kids struggle a lot with is the cooking methods. It's actually very easy, but we can't specify the moist cooking method or dry cooking method. We are specifically asking for the cooking method. So in this case, if we bake the lattice, the pastry lattice, the cooking method will be baking or bake. So just make sure that you write the correct cooking method there, and there is your example in the explanation. And then the last one is the course. That means what course, or what type of course is this? So let's say we do chocolate mousse, that will be a dessert. It means what is the course on the menu. And in this case, the deconstructive beef Wellington will be the main course. So you can write it there in that space there. So you will do this for your first dish, you will do that for your second dish. Okay. I just want to refer to the recipes quickly. For this year, we're going to do the deconstructive beef Wellington. So the first recipe will be your beef Wellington, and the second one will be your potatoes, the Dutch potatoes that we are going to make for the pat this year. Okay, then we have the ingredient list. You have to specify the type of ingredient there. Make sure that you do it completely and not just write sugar, but white sugar, or don't just write milk, but specify full cream or 2% milk, or powder milk, or whatever you're going to use. And if you're not sure where to put the ingredient, you can write it under the general column there. But most of the time you will find a space there because all the dry ingredients are together and all the dairy products are together. So yeah, if you don't know where to put it exactly, you can put it under the general column. So make sure that you complete it very properly. Then this work of order is also very difficult for the kids, but actually very easy to do. Just make use of the study note and make use of the notes that we're going to send to you next week. So let's start with the completion of this form. First of all, they normally leave out the time. Now for the pat, you will have 3 hours. So from the start to the end, your timing must be 3 hours in total. And then for the mise en place, we will always look at the general, the apparatus and the ingredients, and we will prepare that. So let's look at a few examples. So for your mise en place, you will switch on the lights, you will open the windows, you will get the area or the kitchen ready for you to start with your preparation. And then always you need to take out your apparatus and you have to measure off your ingredients and chop it and prepare it for your recipe in the next step to start with the preparation, the actual preparation of the recipe. Okay, then the second one is the preparation of the dishes. Complete logical steps with integration. And the kids struggle with integration a lot. This is something that you need to practice at home. Some of the practical lessons is only one dish, and now we come to the pat, and that's 2 or 3 dishes or 2 or 3 items that you need to cook. So please make sure that you practice that at home and integrate your recipes. So if we look at the mark allocation here, you will get 1 for the timing. You will get 3 marks there for preparation of the dishes. You need to write it out step by step and you need to integrate it. And if more than one recipe is prepared, the integration must take place. Let's say, for example, you have the potatoes now in this case, and you have the beef Wellington. So we will start with the lettuce, the pastry lattice, and bake that. We will cook the potatoes, and in the meantime, we will do the preparation of all the other ingredients for the deconstructive beef Wellington. So that is what integration means. For another example, if your mother cook dinner for Sunday, she will not do the leg of lamb and wait for it, and then do the rice and wait for it, and then do the pumpkin and wait for it. She will integrate the recipes so that all the food are done at the same time, and we can plate the food and eat it. So make sure you do the same here. Also very important, indicate the quantities, and everything must be done by the same time, like I said. I always say that if we take your recipes away and you are still able to use this planning and prepare your food, then this is done properly. So make sure you indicate the quantities and you also make sure that everything is done at the same time. That's very important. Then the plating or the serving. This means we expect from you to explain here how you will serve it and with what will you serve it and on what time will you serve it. So please make sure that you do that also very properly. Serve 200 gram of fillet per person on a main course plate. Just again, mention the plate, not only plate, but mention the type of plate with 1 red chili and chocolate sauce. So always include your decorations or your garnish too. And then at the end, your closing mise en place, that will always include your general, the apparatus, ingredients again, your timing there, and at the end, clean up everything, pack it away, close the windows, and do all those things for the closing mise en place. So actually, that's very easy, but you need to know what to do at each time slot and in each section there. Okay, then if we look at this example, the kids don't understand why we do this. This is for you to do some research on the dishes that we are going to prepare. So if you do some research, you will look into recipe books, or you will go onto the internet and search for a few recipes. In this case, a chicken roulade or a chicken cordon bleu, more or less the same thing. We looked for a few recipes there, and we saw this, and then you paste it there. And from this, you take a few ideas. Let's say we take that sauce idea, and we take this idea, we take the garnish from that one. Then we use all these ideas that we got from the internet and we did research on, and plate our own plate for the pat. So this is actually your planning of how you are going to plate it on the day of your pat. And if the child do this at the day of the pat, and it corresponds with the planning was done properly. Just take note also that in your task, we give you an example, and it doesn't mean that you need to do it exactly as that. We want you to be creative, and we want you to do some research and take the best ideas and then plate your food on the plate for one person on that day to be assessed. Yeah, and that is task 11.1, 9.1. So if there's any questions about that, we can answer them now.
There's no questions at this stage.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we go on to task 9.2, the practical part. This is where you need a approved assessor. And I'm going to take the time to go through the general guidelines. This general guidelines is in your PAT task, and most of the time we do find that the kids don't, or the learners don't go through this general guidelines. So I'm just going to explain it quickly to you. First of all, the preparation needs to be done beforehand and submit that on the day of the PAT. So no late preparations will be taken or will be accepted after the PAT, because it's a preparation. And this preparation, like I said in the previous slides, will be marked by impact for grade 12. No assessor are allowed to mark the task 9.1. Impact marks all 9.1 tasks. Then the candidates must dress properly. So I will explain to you the chef uniform a little bit in a slide or two from now. And then place your recipes in a clear plastic bag so that it remains clean during the PAT. Please make sure of that. It helps a lot. And the candidates must use the prescribed recipes. You can't choose your own recipes and modify the recipes and whatever. There's certain techniques that we are testing, and you need to use our prescribed recipes. The apparatus are supplied by the candidates themselves, unless stated otherwise in the PAT email. And that means if it's an impact assessment, we use certain or different venues, and different venues have different apparatus that we can use. So just make sure that you know exactly what is available and what you need to bring from home. And then the ingredients are also supplied by the candidates in both assessment methods. And if there are any ingredients that is unsuitable for a particular religion group, you are welcome to email me so that we can approve and can discuss that, so it's still applied to the standard of the PAT. And then the kids bring their own dishcloths, dishwashing liquid, etc. All the cleaning stuff must be brought by the kids themselves. The venues will not supply this. Then take your own containers to put your dishes in and take home afterwards. We don't supply that, and we don't sell any containers, so please bring that from home. And then this is a very important point there. All the ingredients must be done and prepared at the venue. So, for example, you can't go to Woolworths and buy your julienne and then bring it to the venue. You have to cut it there, and you also need to measure off your ingredients at the venue. You are allowed to bring more ingredients and just be planned properly for that, because sometimes one of your eggs break or something happens and then you don't have extra. So always take a little bit of extra ingredients so that you are prepared and don't put extra stress on yourself. So let's say, for example, you need 2 cups of flour for the pat. Then you can bring 3 or 4 cups of flour in a smaller container. You don't need to bring the 2.5 kilograms of cake flour to make it easier for yourself. So you are allowed to do that, but you're not allowed to measure it off beforehand. The photos will be taken during the pat. Just take note that this is the responsibility of the candidates or the learner. But if you are busy with your pat, it's impossible for you to take photos of yourself. So the assessor will assist you with that. And at the end, it will remain your responsibility to make sure that the photos are in the task. Otherwise, we will not accept your marks. There's no eating or drinking allowed during the examination, because this is a final examination and the same rules apply to this. No candidates may leave the examination room without our permission, and no other persons than the grade 12 candidates and the assessor will be allowed in the examination room. So this is very strict applied, and this is only for the candidates and the assessor. So please take note of that, parents, especially the parents. Yeah, you can leave your child there at the assessments and then come and fetch them afterwards. You are not allowed to look through the windows or see what they do. Please give them space so that they can finish this pat properly. And then this last one is a very important point also, is impact assessments and also the private assessments. We give a going rate of 750 per child or per learner for both tasks. That includes the assessment of both tasks. So sometimes we do have some of the private assessors which charge 2,000 for one pat. If you do have a problem like that, please let me know so that we can speak to that assessor, or that we can, maybe if it's necessary, remove that assessor from our list, because it's quite a lot of money, and it's a lot of money to buy all the ingredients. So we need to set an example or a going rate for them. And if they don't apply to that, we don't want to make use of them. But just remember that we can't tell them what to charge, because it's their own time and their own assessment that they're going to do if it's a private assessment. But please help us to sort out that also. Then on the pat day, you please need to bring the following: your barcoded task covers for both pat tasks, and in this case it will be 9.1, 9.2, 10.1 and 10.2 if we do both pat on one day. Also both mark sheets for task 9 and 10, and then the pat photos will be taken during the practical on that day. Also, you bring the following: your own ingredients and prescribed recipes. We don't have extra recipes, so please bring your own recipes so that you have the ingredients and the amounts that you need to use. Also bring other necessities like foil and spray and cook, wax paper. The venues don't have these extra, and if we fly to Cape Town, we don't take those things with. So if you don't bring it, you will struggle with your pat and maybe lose some marks. So please make sure that you do your planning properly. Make a list of everything that you need to bring, and make sure that you pack everything when you come to the venue. On that day, we will take your written preparation, and we will take that to MPAC, where we will mark it. If it's a private arrangement, the written preparation is your own responsibility to submit to MPAC. Then make sure you have enough containers, like explaining general guidelines, and then also 3 drying cloths, your dish soap, sponges, etc., because no drying cloths will be provided at the venues. You need to bring your own stuff. And then last but not least, make sure that you are dressed properly, and the chef uniform must look something like this. We do explain it in the tasks. Your comfortable closed shoes like tackies or something like that, your denim pants, and then your apron, your white shirt, and your chef hat. No makeup, no hair coming out of your hat, and no jewelry. So make sure of that, please. Okay. Then for this year, grade 12 will do the following. So where do we get the recipes? Like I said, 9.1 and 9.2 is one task, and 10.1 and 10.2 is another function. So it has nothing to do with each other. So you can get the recipes in the practical task. So 9.2 is the practical task. So you will get the recipes there to complete task 9.1. So for this year, we will do the fillet. We will do the lattice, the puff pastry lattice. That is your pastry there. We will do the mushroom sauce, which is there on top of the or underneath the fillet. We will do the Parmesan dashed potatoes. It's this one here, and we'll also do the julienne carrots. So that is all the items that needs to be on the plate. So like I said in the beginning, this is your one dish, and that is your other dish. The julienne is just for garnishing and extra skills. So yeah, that is what we're going to do for this year. Also make use of your mark sheet so that you can see what is assessed on that day. There's a few things that we are going to look at: hygiene and neatness, your opening mise en place, your culinary skills. If I go to the next slide, professionalism, closing, mise en place, and also your dishes that will be assessed. I just want to go back to that one. Please take note of this and your uniform. Don't lose unnecessary marks, because you can see this is quite a lot of 75 marks. Neatness of the workstation and the sinks, and also your dishcloths and kitchen waste. There's a lot of things that you can do right to get your marks. Don't lose unnecessary marks, like I said. Then we will look at your equipment and your ingredients and the preparation of the ingredients. We will also look at your ingredients when the mise en place is done. I will show it in the photos just now. If you put it or arrange it in order of use. And then also your culinary skills, how you work with your equipment, your skills, your techniques, the cooking methods that you use, the safety in the kitchen. We will also look at your interpretation of the recipes, the use of time, is it efficient, and also questions. If you ask a lot of questions, then you also subtract marks there. But if you are not familiar with the venue and you ask something like, how do I switch on the oven? We will show you and we will not subtract marks here. But if you ask questions about the recipes in the pad, then we will subtract marks. So just take note of that. Then also here, are you functional? Are you helping us at the end of the day with the neatness and the cleaning of the venue? We need to leave the venues as we received it. So yeah, our kids have very good behavior the last few years. So we are very proud of them, and we don't have problems with this. So thank you for that. And then at the end, we look at your dishes, which is 30 marks, and that's quite a lot of the 75 marks. So if you do your planning in the first task very properly, you will score here a lot of marks. So yeah, just make use of your mark sheet to see what we are going to assess on that day. Okay, let's look at the photos that we are expecting from you, or that we prefer that you take on that day. First of all, we want something to see. Did you do the mise en place on the apparatus? This was just a few apparatus that I put together for the photo. Then your mise en place of the ingredients. Did you measure of everything and put it in order of use? We need to have a photo of you with your face. This one is cut off, but with your face and your dish at the end, so that we can see it's not an internet photo. Please don't use internet photos. We can clearly see that it's not your photo. And then you will not get marks. I also want to mention here, if you don't add photos to your tasks, we will not accept your marks, because we don't have any proof that you did the pad. So we will not accept the marks if there's no photos attached. That one, you can see the appearance of the working surface, very untidy. technique here. For example, we can see that you use the correct chopping board in this case, or if it's not correct, or the correct knife. So there's a lot of things that we can see on the photos. Your dishcloths, your basin, hot soapy water, your rinsing water, and also your dishes clean as you go is the right way to go. And then your oven, gloves, your full length picture or photo so that we can see your uniform and if it's correct. Also, this working surface is very untidy. This linen will not get a lot of marks for that. And then your dishes at the end. We want to see that. You are allowed to add more photos, but this is more or less what we need to see from you after the PAT. Okay, if there's any questions about the practical, we can answer that now.
The first question is, when will the waiter webinar be?
Okay, we will see on the program when there's a time slot for hospitality studies again, and then we will do the waiter PAT. So that will be the next webinar.
The next question is, if I have extra time concession, do I get extra time in the practical?
No, the time allowed for your theory is not the same as allowed for your practicals. If you have a concession, you need to discuss that with me so that we can see with the examination board if that is allowed. So if you have a problem, then you need to contact me so that we can see before the time. I just want to mention here, maybe while we're busy talking about this, in the past there was a kid or a learner which had one arm, and they just went and do the PAT with the assessor, and there was no assistance or approval from our side for the assessor to give assistance to the learner. And at the end of the day, the learner couldn't get his PAT done, and he lost half of his marks. We don't want you to do that. So please, if there's any problems, then you need to contact me so that we can discuss the situation and allow extra time if necessary, with the permission of Sakai and Umalusi if necessary. So please do that correctly, otherwise you will not get the marks that you need.
The next question is, can I wear black jeans or must it be blue?
Okay, that's a general question. So yeah, you can. It's black jeans is fine as long as it's long pants and it's safe. Then it's fine.
Okay, and when do these pads need to be handed in?
Okay, for grade 12, we prefer that you do one in the first term, one in the second term. But we all know the lockdown is a problem at the moment. There's nothing to stress about at the moment. So I'm okay with the pads at the moment, like I said. So don't stress about it. We will recommend, and I will talk to assessment because I already suggested some things that we can do at the moment about the PAT, because I know you are concerned about this and it's grade 12. We will make a suggestion for you to upload task 9.1 and 10.1, but we don't do it yet because you won't be able to do it. We will maybe open the uploaded function for those two written tasks so that we can mark that already. And then when the lockdown is finished, we can see if we can do something. I think if we can use the dates that was planned, we will go forward with that or proceed with that. Otherwise, in the meantime, we are busy. I don't want to explain actually now, but I am going to mention it. We are busy with the experiment on Zoom assessments. If the lockdown is going on for a while, we want to help you. So don't stress about the PAT. We are trying to get solutions for this problem. So yeah, but we will let you know. So just to answer that question, we prefer that the grade 12 PATs are done by the end of June, because then you can focus on your preliminary exams and the exams. But it's not a problem if we're not done by that time because of the lockdown. We will get things in place to see where we can assist. So don't stress about it, and yeah, we will see what we can do to assist you with the PAT, especially the grade 12s.
The next question is, when do I have to take the photos, beforehand or during the PAT?
Okay, the photos, we did explain it in the webinar, must be taken on the day when the assessor assesses you. So you can't take the photos beforehand, you need to take the photos on the day of the PAT.
The last question that I can see is on the mise en place for equipment. Is it okay to write down only oven gloves?
Yes, that's for the mise en place. Okay, yeah, that will be fine because you don't have to do anything with it. You're just going to use that as part of your equipment. That's fine.
Just quickly to see there's more questions coming through. Die foto's word deur die assessor geneem of wie moet die foto's neem?
Goed, ek het in die webinar gesê dat ons die foto's moet neem op die dag van die assessering en die algemene riglyn sê dat net die assessor en die leerder betrokke gaan wees. So 'n mens gaan moet kyk, sê nou maar dis 'n klein groepie en dit is 'n sentrum wat byvoorbeeld die assessering doen. Dan kan die leerders mekaar ook afneem of die assessor kan die leerders afneem. So daai is maar 'n reëling wat julle self gaan moet tref tydens die prakties. My opinie is dat eintlik die assessor die ideale persoon is wat die foto's kan neem, want hulle weet ook natuurlik waarvoor om te kyk en wat om af te neem. So ja, dit sal gewoonlik in my opinie die meeste van die tyd die assessor wees wat die foto's neem, maar indien dit 'n klompie kinders is, kan die kinders mekaar ook help om af te neem van die foto's. So dis maar een van die dinge wat ek sou sê die assessor moet ook asseblief vir ons kyk, aangesien dit regtig ons bewys is van dat die assessering op 'n goeie standaard gebeur.
Then the last question is, how do I do my mise en place if I can't print the assessments?
Okay, that is a problem that I can't help you with. If you can do it, I don't know why you can't print it. So maybe if you have a PDF program, then you can do it electronically. If you don't have access to the tasks, you're welcome to email me so that we can see how we can help you. So yeah, I don't know why you can't print it, but I think that will be a solution if you can type it on the PDF document. Yeah, but I think that will be a solution for you.
Last question that I see here is when we are making the beef Wellington on the stove, how are we supposed to know what the oven temperature must be?
If you make the beef Wellington on the stove, what is the temperature of the oven? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't understand that question, but please refer to your recipes. We don't discuss the recipes today, but if it's necessary, we can also do a webinar or session on the recipes itself. I think that please make use of the Facebook pages. I also want to thank the people that give input there and help me to see what is your needs on your side. So if you have any suggestions, please post it on the Facebook or send me email so that we can attend to your needs and help you with what you have you need assistance with. So you can email me and please read through your recipe because the temperature of the oven will be mentioned on your recipe. And the stove plates, normally we put it on 4. And then you see if the stove plate are too hot, then you can adjust it to 3, or if it's too cold, you can adjust it to 5. But never work on 5 and 6 because then your food will burn. So my suggestion will be start on 4 and then adjust it accordingly.
Okay, that was the only questions in the question box.
Okay, thank you, Serena, for that. Okay, this brings us to the end of the session. If you're not registered with Impact, please contact us for more info, and we can help you at the email info@impact.co.za. And then I just want to thank you for joining this webinar. Please don't struggle with the PAT. Contact me so that I can help you. Make use of your the webinars, the guided learning platform, and also the Facebook pages. And yeah, if there's anything that we can assist with, please contact us so that we can help you. And good luck. And don't stress about the PAT. We will sort it out and let you know what needs to be done for grade 12 this year. Thank you.